As the founders of Surefoot, Bob and Russ Shea are obsessed with creating the perfect ski boot for you because they know that a properly fitted custom ski boot will make you a better skier, whatever level you're at. Surefoot, better fitting, better skiing.
All right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Freeride Guide, episode 2 of the 2025 season. We have our first recap. Hello, Derek. You're with me this time from the start.
Live here in, we're still in Spain. I'm in Baqueira for a couple more days before we head off to the next stop. But yeah, wow. That was, that was something else.
Now, how is it? So with the FWT, we know that, and we'll get to it in a minute, but they had to move the comp up. With the adjustment of that, you were scheduled to be there for a while. So now the comp is done and dusted, and you actually have a few days to yourself. Like, you know, you're still there, which is rare because usually you're out of there pretty quick, and you have to get on the move and figure things out. So it must be nice to have a couple days to just chill and relax and know you can stay in one space.
Yeah, exactly. And do this, you know, actually have a podcast close to the event. Yeah, no, it's kind of awesome. I mean, it was definitely a hustle to get everything moving, to get across from Capel. And my hustle like fades in comparison to what the Freeride World Tour staff had to do to pull this thing off in such a short time, on a different face. It was a lot for sure, but yeah,
I think we talk about that. I think we talk about that every episode.
Every time. Yeah.
There's always the last 2 years. There's always like something changes last minute. And I don't know if they've had a comp where it's just like, all right, it's going to be on this day. Hey, it's going to be on that day. And Kicking Horse last year was kind of relaxed.
Yeah, that was pretty smooth. It worked in the normal window, you know.
But, you know, they deserve a break once in a while. Yeah. But yeah, so Baqueira, as we mentioned, had to get moved up by a couple of days just because of weather. Before we get any further, though, I want to give a big shout out to Surefoot, Surefoot Skiing, custom boot fitters who have been making my feet feel fantastic for a good 25 years. I was telling someone the other day, they're like, why is Surefoot so good? I'm like, if it never had a toenail fall off.
Yeah, that's it. That's it right there. No toenails falling off, no shin bang. Yeah, do yourself a favor and get in there. It'll change your skiing life for sure.
Yeah. And so Derek and I, for those who are listening, it's not just a sponsor that, you know, puts in money and we're like, okay, we'll read that. We've been going to Surefoot, both of us, for probably 20 plus years, 25 years.
Yeah, as long as they've been in Whistler almost.
Yeah, 3 different locations. Shout out to Surefoot Sam and the crew at the Whistler Surefoot. If you're ever in Whistler, stop by. But they have 26 locations around the world. There's definitely one in Whistler where there were a challenger event in the past for FWT events. Verbier has one. It's kind of right near the gondola building in a beautiful spot right on the corner. So if you ever get a chance when you're going skiing, stop by Surefoot, get your boots fitted, get some custom liners. You won't be disappointed. All right. Thanks, Surefoot, for being a part of the Freeride Guide for 2025. So let's get to it. Baqueira, what was the vibe like rolling in there?
Frantic, I think, would be the best way I could describe it. The arrival day got moved up by 2 days, and then the competition was scheduled to happen on the original arrival day. So people, including myself, but I was lucky at least to already be in Europe, but people had to change their travel plans last minute to basically dash to Europe to get this to happen, or at least the North Americans. And
a lot of the Europeans had to make travel plans too. I know a lot of the head team athletes.
Yeah, they were in Austria all together filming, and had to rip over here. So yeah, frantic for sure was the best description. And then once everybody's on site, then it just kind of drops into the normal process: riders meeting, face check, you know, all of the usual things. Go skiing, ski the resort, get used to your skis, new snow, different food, different time zone. And then get into it, like comp mindset right away. You know, everyone knew there was going to be no time to waste. So yeah, but it was good. It was exciting, but it was a little hectic on the lead up to it.
So obviously, and it's the first one of the year too, so they have to do their rider photos and their videos and their promo materials. Like, everybody's got a task that's extra on that first event versus the other ones. My favorite event I've ever been to, or one of the wildest, was that Baqueira event. It's the year that Aymar had his swan song, had his final run, and the crowd was spectacular. This year couldn't have a crowd because the venue changed.
Yeah, we were in the backcountry, essentially.
Oh, for real? Was
Yeah.
it similar? Was it similar to like the Andorra one that we had to hike to?
Yeah, but even further. It's still
Really?
in the Baqueira Beret Valley, but it's a ways away. So it was a big operation to get everyone up there and out of there, all the equipment.
Did everyone get helied in?
Everyone. Yeah,
Wow.
It was heli access only. So even just that was a feat of organizational wizardry in itself, you know, just getting the whole schedule dialed, making sure that the people who needed to be where they needed to be were there. A lot of moving parts, that's for sure. And unfortunately, a big hit to the electric vibe because there was no live crowd.
So I was thinking that I'm sure they had like a viewing in town. Did they not?
They did.
A big screen somewhere, and you know, people going wild in town having drinks and partying.
Yeah.
In the fan center, or the fan village.
Yeah, the main square in town, as well as up at one of the like day lodges up on the mountain. So they had two spots where people could watch it, and I heard it was awesome. I heard it was just heaving at both of those places. Obviously, I didn't see it because we were up at the comp face, but yeah, we definitely missed that. The Spanish crowd is the gold standard.
Don't doubt it. Was the same announcer there?
Oh yeah.
I don't.
Rolling the R's.
Yeah. Do you remember what his name was? We got to get his name. We got to give him some proper credit. That guy's amazing. Whenever I go and do an event, I try and tap into his energy.
Oh yeah, he goes hard.
His inspiration. So let's chat about the venue. So the venue changed. Why was the Bamba Face not able to go?
Just not enough coverage.
Yeah.
As simple as that. Yeah. We went up on the resort and took a look at it, and Lolo and Bertie and Nicholas Hale Woods had been here way earlier, you know, doing all the pre-event work, and it was like an easy no for them. I mean, not easy, you know, spiritually, but easy to look at it and go, we can't run a comp on that. There's just not enough snow on it.
What was the so this new face, the La Bamba Face, named after said Aymar Navarro, where he ended up forerunning as well, which is a nice extra chapter to this. It's just, what a storybook ending, and then a bonus storybook. It's so awesome because he's from Valderan, which is where Baqueira Beret is. So the Bamba Face was the venue. It's the name of it. Was it a different aspect? What made it able to go versus
elevation? It's just higher.
Oh yeah,
it's higher. Yeah, it's higher than the resort, and I think just maybe slightly on the better side of the range. I mean, you know what it's like in mountain ranges. You can have one face that picks up a bit more snow than another that's you know, like 10 kilometers away. So yeah, it was but I think the main thing was elevation. It's just a little bit higher, so it had grabbed a bit more of the snow that they had early season here than the Bamba did that's in the resort.
Fair enough. So conditions, what were we looking at? They looked pretty firm, looked pretty crusty. That face looked mega steep.
Yeah, it was kind of everything. There were pockets of okay snow. We had on face check day, which was the day before the event, a whole bunch of wind that really moved the snow around. So even the difference from at face check watching the forerunners go to rolling up on comp day, and they ran two forerunners before the first Snowboard Men dropped in. It had changed. It had definitely scoured. It was also pretty sunny on face check day, so some things kind of cooked. You know, you could see it watching the event. There were so many different kinds of snow all the way down, and I was really happy. I'm not happy because it sucked for the riders, but it was cool that they had the mic on the start gate camera turned on, so you could hear their skis and boards on chattering. That snow. Yeah, right out of the gate. That.
Well, you could see it too, like especially near the end of the event for the Snowboard Women, like cruising down hillside, like that top section deteriorated so badly over the course of the event that I'm like, how are they even able to stay up? Like, and a lot of them couldn't. Yeah. It was just that it was survival mode, basically, just getting in.
For sure. Yeah, it was tough, and the shade came across the face as we got later into the day. You know, the comp took quite a bit longer than I think anyone would have liked. A lot of crashing, and there's that big long flat section in the middle, so the runs just take a while. So yeah, it was definitely tough for the later riders.
Right.
Both,
I will give credit to the FWT. The stream was spectacular for being out in the backcountry, like watching on. So I was up at 12:30 in the morning and I watched right till 5:30 in the morning, chatting with everybody on the YouTube stream. And a lot of people were like, I can't believe how good this stream is. And it's in the backcountry, and it was great. It was really, really great. They did a fantastic job. There's really only that one pause, I guess, after the ski men leading into the ski women event. There's like 10 minutes of just downtime. But other than that, like, fantastic job.
yeah, it's pretty cool what they can do in such a remote location.
And just was it Starlink that they're using now, or what? Do you know what they used?
I don't know. That's above my figure.
yeah. One more thing that you don't necessarily need to know.
Smarter people than me are working on that stuff.
Right. Another good thing that we want to chat about is you had a new partner, Hadley Hammer, former Freeride World Tour athlete, professional skier, all around awesome human being, and she did a really, really good job. I think so. Like I was like, wow, has she done this before? I sent her a message. She's like, nope. What did she say? Thanks for the comment. Definitely not a skill set I've used before. I was like, it fooled me. Like she was fantastic, knowledgeable, really well spoken. Like she was able to put energy into her voice while she was chatting. It wasn't like boring. Like fantastic for a first time. A+.
Yeah, that's been the overall feedback that I've heard and had. Hadley was awesome. Great start. And it was challenging first comp to do because everything was so rushed. And even the morning of, like the heli plan fell apart pretty much at first contact because the helis just arrived late. And they were like, we're still starting at the same time, but we had about 6 minutes from when we arrived up there on the plateau next to the judges till the start of the live show. So it was pretty chaotic, and she just handled it. It was
stepped right in like it was
super
nothing.
Solid.
Yeah. Sometimes I guess when you're just thrown into the lines, then it's sometimes easier than when you're sitting and overthinking, you know? Maybe. Who knows? But no, she did a fantastic job. And then like just the back and forth between the two of you, neither of you really stepped on each other in any way, shape, or form. Like it was really, really, really good to listen to. And she's so knowledgeable because she's been there, she's done it. So is she going to be doing some more events this year?
Yep. We'll have her for all but Kicking Horse, and for Kicking Horse, we're going to have Amy Engerbretson.
Cool.
So yeah, we got a couple that will be trying it out this year. Hopefully they like fantastic. It and want to stay.
Yeah. Amazing. And I know Amy, she's probably the most proficient person of anything that she ever does, of anyone I've ever met, if that makes sense. Like if someone's like, Amy's going to do it, I'm like, oh, it's going to be good. Yeah. Right on. Cool. Well, that's awesome. So let's get into this event. So kind of summarizing the event, there's a lot of crashing. We had some epics, some top 10 list kind of watching for years in the future kind of crashes. Tom Pfeiffer, I think, has got himself yet another new nickname. World Tour Tomahawk. Love you, Tom. Friend of the show, friend of ours. Whistler Freeride alum and back on the World Tour. Ellie had a big crash. Tams had a big crash. It seemed like there were not a lot of crashes, but the ones that happened were pretty brutal.
Yeah, Britta Winans had a really big one, dislocated her shoulder on that one, which was tough.
We're going to ask about that.
Matisse Fornacier, man, just lost his ski. The rock just
popped his helmet off.
Yeah, blasted his downhill ski off above exposure, and then tumbling through the rocks in the final one, blew his helmet right off.
It looked like it popped his head off. Like it was a gasp moment. I was
so like, scary, and he is fine, which is,
he's got scrapes and stuff on his face.
Yeah. He's got some cuts on his forehead, but otherwise fine, which is so good.
Wear your helmets, kids.
Really scary one. Yeah. Lena Kohler had a big one, just flipping and flipping and flipping. you could see Jenna Keller as well. Like it was really, really hard to self-arrest. Once you got sliding, like you weren't breaking through the surface and people would just go and go. I mean, obviously, Lena and Elizabeth and Tom didn't slide that much because they were just flipping the whole time. But
sorry, not funny. It's not funny.
I mean, it's I guess we can kind of laugh now because they're okay, but it was, there were some scary moments in that one for sure.
Yeah, I've had I hate watching those events when I lose my breath and to have that like gasp moment, like, oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. And then as soon as they are like, hey, I'm fine, and then you watch for a minute, like, did you just do that because, or like wait to the 3, 2, 1 for whatever pain or any issues are going to come through. So great to hear that they're doing well. Unfortunate for Britta. We'll get to her shortly here. The rookie performances. So this episode is going to be fully about the Baqueira Beret Pro by Movistar. And then right after this episode, we're getting into our full athletes kind of breakdown, the wild cards, the rookies that we do every year. And then we'll have a little bit of an extra spin on it, how we can relate it back to this event. So we're going to get to that. So if you're wondering who some of these people are, we'll give you a little context this episode, but then we'll go full deep into the one that's going to come out in a few days. So should we just get right into, I guess, the categories? Start off with the start.
Snowboard Men.
Men's snowboard. So we had some familiar faces on the podium. Victor De La Rue in first spot. Shocker there. Pretty high score, nice and early. And then Timmy Schrader. To be honest with you, I thought he was a little bit underscored. Watching on the YouTube stream, every single competition, there are people that are unhappy with judging for a specific run. Every time it's going to happen. Some people are going to say, hey, I thought that should have been higher, but you usually see on the chat, Rob, this is, people start losing their minds because it's just so easy. The keyboard warriors. I personally thought he was a little underscored on that run. I thought he should have been a little bit closer to Victor. Some of the people were like, oh, it's Victor, so he's going to get that kind of the superstar bump. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a 3-time Freeride World Tour champion. He's one of the most, like, this past fall, he was in 2 films that won almost every single IF3 award in his categories. He showed up to IF3 10 minutes before the event, walked up on stage and collected like 9 awards, and then was gone the next day. He just kind of showed up to clean house and then leave. So there's like that superstar factor. Now, I could be wrong, but this is just a place for us to talk and chat. The judges might come after me, but this is whatever. It's a what if. But do you think someone like him maybe gets the benefit of the doubt sometimes? Maybe that little extra bump?
I don't know. I think the way he scored is because he just goes so fast. He, even when he was driving on his heel side edge, like in the moment, I was like, oh, he's sliding. But then when you get the context of the whole run and you realize he's just trying to shed a bit of speed, but all of that sliding was to a feature, to another feature, to another feature, and moving kind of diagonally across the mountain on
with
the ice.
intention. Yeah.
With intention. Yeah, exactly. And to be able to do it at that pace, I mean, well, we saw it with everybody else. Like no one else went nearly that speed. And also going feature to feature to feature. The ones that did ended up missing, having cliffs fly by them because they were like, okay, well, if I try to turn now, I'll explode myself. And we certainly saw people do that too.
Do you think he benefited from going so early? Not necessarily because of the slope or the conditions, but because no one had been scored. No, they hadn't seen anybody really hit that zone yet.
Yeah, I think conditions too. There's some events where it's easier to go first, some events where it's easier to go last a little bit. And they do try to switch the categories around constantly. For sure it was toughest that day for Snowboard Women, and definitely the Snowboard Men had the best conditions. But it's always hard to go early in the field because they're setting a bar, and it's not like his score was like a barn burning score. I think it was 82.
Yep.
So that was like a placeholder score in case they
80,
saw
83.33.
Yeah. And there were some runs that definitely would have been in the mix. I'd put Tilden Woolley in there, like he was a rookie, but he did the 360 up high, way over on the right.
Hand drag kind of 360.
Yeah, and
then right to the wall and out blast out into the couloir.
Yeah, super cool. Turned it into a double. That run definitely, if it had been clean all the way down to the bottom, maybe added a few features down low, I think it would have been in contention.
Cody Bramwell was looking hot.
Yeah, if Cody landed that run, that was an easy call for the judges for the win.
Big 360 to transfer, and he like washed out a bit on his toe edge. Huge double backflip attempt.
So that was accidental.
Was he going for one?
He was going for one, and when he told me that, I honestly couldn't believe it. But then when you rewatch it with that context, you can see he lays it out. And as soon as he comes around from the first one, he realizes he's still so high in the air, and he grabs his legs and pitches over for the second one. And he's still, and he
over-rotated.
Yeah, the rotation was pretty good, but he landed way down at the bottom of the transit. That kind of air awareness is insane to me. It's just unbelievable that he could be so high up in the air and be like, oh, better do a second flip. Kind of almost had it. But that was definitely like, if we're playing the what if everybody stomped game, Cody Bramwell for sure would have won that comp, I think.
You think so? Yeah. He looked amazing. Glad to have him back on the tour, to be completely honest with you. I miss that guy. He's a beauty of a human. And an amazing snowboarder. A couple others that it was a really good comp to watch. Enzo Nilo is back on tour. He was just spinning like a top, to be honest. That's exactly what you said. That's a Derekism to start the season off. I'm going to try and plug in some more Derekisms. You've mellowed them out a little bit, I think, because I've been
maybe.
Yeah.
No, maybe they just don't come to me.
Hadley had some good ones too. She's like, he can't stop spinning. And you're like, he's spinning like a top. Liam Lavera. I had him on my fun bet, but just because I kind of went with what happened last year. And you said that he's been working out and he put on a ton of muscle this year, which is scary to think about because he's already so good.
Yeah. Yeah. All of these guys they're taking this seriously. They're training as athletes, and they're focused and prepared. And I don't think we can take this event as an indication of this is going to be the status quo for the season. I think there's a few riders who didn't have their day, but who are still big time contenders. I don't know. Everybody's so good. It's like, okay, well, whose day is it? And it was Victor's day, but there were a couple really close ones, Tilden and Cody for sure. And
then we had John Powell in third place. The newly minted Canadian. He's picked up Canadian citizenship. He lives just down the road from us in Squamish, rides Whistler Blackcomb. Great human being, scientist, great dude, even greater now that he's a Canadian. Sorry to my American friends, I'm a little biased, but he's got both. So good for him. If I could have both, I would take both. I think that's a good thing to have. Just what you expect from him. Spin at the top, little mandatory air out of that funnel. So he was one of the first into that. I think he was the first into that little funnel, the little couloir with the mandatory air. And he just ripped it. Absolutely ripped that. I was like, nice, fast and fluid like you'd expect from him. The bottom of his second half of his run was a little unexciting, I guess, for lack of a better term.
It kind of fizzled.
Yeah. So, what did you say? I wrote a note here. You said tools, not jewels. I don't know. I don't know the context to that.
Oh, because he was just hitting so many rocks. We were just talking about how sometimes you just have to take the rocks. So your snowboard, it's a tool, not a jewel.
Right.
So you can't be precious about it.
So it was like kind of a tale of two runs with all from the top to the bottom. So I think if he had done a bit more, well, who knows? At the bottom, maybe he could have been pushed up above Timmy a little bit, but between him and Timmy is a good 3.5 points still. So
yeah, it was close. It was close, but I think if John Powell had the bottom that Victor had, I think it would have been tight between the two of them because John's top was really, really good, and Victor was just like ramming down the mountain on his heel side edge at 1,000 miles an hour, whereas John was showing like total control. And
as
hit a bunch of features up as he does. Yeah.
Mr. Consistency, man. He's like Bruce Lee, be like water. So that's the way to kick off the season, men's snowboard. It was a pretty good men's snowboard segment. Next up, we had Ski Men, which is always wild. So in first place, we welcome back Ross Tester to the tour. He was off last year, got a wild card for this year. Second place, rookie Toby Rafford, Addison Rafford's little brother. The family just oozes style. I'd like to meet their parents.
Yeah, me too.
You know, like they have style in life. It bleeds into their skiing, like very, very stylish skiers. I'd like to meet their parents and kind of see where this influence comes from. I bet you they're cool. I bet you they're cool.
They're
as
probably
heck,
real cool.
And then we've got Ben Richards is back on the tour. He finished third overall last year, and look where he is, third place this year with a classic Ben Richards run. Before we actually, let's get right into it. So Ross is back. Huge backflip, super tight backflip, super controlled, right into a 360 with a grab, another huge 60 and a huge air at the bottom. Just what you expect from that guy. Like, he is a cat.
Yeah,
he's like a cat.
Textbook Ross Tester. He really is part of this generation that has the full package. The technical skiing is really refined. They're super bold in the line choice and are so good in the air, you know, tricks off of anything. He's kind of the pioneer of that, to be honest with you. He's in my opinion, he's one of the first riders to consistently change things up and go a little bit more freestyle while being able to ride a big free ride line. So Ross is unreal, and it's so good to have him back. He's just such a strong athlete and such a great skier. Yeah, it was awesome. His run was fantastic, super aggressive, really powerful. Never really looked out of place at all. And just clean, really solid run. Yeah, clean. So welcome back, Ross Tester. I was hoping you'd do a Ross Testery, doing his Ross Testeriest. Yeah. Next up, we got Toby. As I said, if I guess Ross was kind of one of the pioneers of this new free ride movement, Toby's going to take it and run with it. And he just showed that big flat 360, shifty with a lot of style into that chute. That middle section, was it? I'm calling it the flats because that's kind of what it looked like on the broadcast. But was it actually that flat? Pretty flat, yeah. Was it flat? Okay. And the riders that wanted to get way out to the left, I mean, you saw a few of them tucking, yeah. Because we watched in the forerun, Aymar went over there and he ended up having a sidestep up that, so everybody took notes. We're like, all right, well, if you want to get up there, then you need to be cooking across that. I love that Aymar skied a line as a forerunner that like one other person rode or like two other people went into. He still did his own thing. Another Aymar story. So Aymar forran in a zone of the face that literally almost nobody went to. He found his own spot. So I don't know how helpful that was as a forerunner, but I'm sure he would have scored decent points. Maybe that's still where his brain is. So like I said, big flat 3, shifty, lots of style into that chute. You slow through the flats and then air to another chute and then boom, double flat spin with the grab. All the way through. Yeah. All the way through. That was so perfect. It could not have been better. And let's just take a second to appreciate the fact that he's never hit that windlet before. He's looked at it with binoculars from 500 meters away on a ridgetop for one afternoon, and that's it. So to go into that and do that trick and do it that well is incredible. So good, so precise. As you said, absolutely blowing the doors off. So welcome to the Freeride World Tour. And what also runs in the family is a podium finish for his sister in her first event in Baqueira last year or 2 years ago. And then Toby, first podium, first event, Baqueira. Yeah, the Raffords are good at this. yeah, you think, right? The chat was unhappy about that one. I think just because it was so spectacular, that double that double at the bottom. It's spectacular. It's amazing. But their points were
less like a 1.5 point difference. So,
yeah, I think the top was the difference maker. The way Ross skied the top, the flip right out of the gate, where Toby went around to do the flat spin off a much smaller and honestly less consequential feature.
Right.
I think that was the prime difference maker on that one. And I think you could have gone either way with that, and some people would be stoked and some people would be unhappy. But I think I
think they got it right, and especially hearing your explanation of it right there does make a lot of sense. And that's what it is. It comes down to those fine details, right? These judges are really, really good at what they do. They've done it a long time. So that's, it is what it is, right? Sometimes they get it wrong, but most of the time, I'd say the 80-90% of the time they get it right. Very rarely do they get it wrong, and when they do, they talk about it, they analyze it, they figure out why, and then they'll go talk to that rider. Or talk to some of the riders that are kind of, and they'll be like, hey, this is what we thought, right? There's a lot of conversation. There's a lot of working on yourself.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they rejudge every competition after. They do a judges meeting and rejudge to assess how they feel about it outside of the heat of the moment. I mean, obviously it's only on the recorded video, not through the binoculars like they do when it's live. But yeah, they're putting in work to get this right.
Right. There you go. Third place, Ben Richards. Very smooth, just classic fluid Ben Richards run. Smooth through the pepper, floaty 360s, nice airs, fast fall line. That's what he does. That's what got him the podium third overall last year. And he's right back at it.
Yeah, I love watching Ben ski. He's so good. He's so smooth. He never really looks bothered. Some people it like looks like, I don't know, like fireworks are going off while they're skiing. Ben's just like doop de doo. But while he looks like that physically, the world is moving past him. Yeah. He's so good, and a well-deserved podium for Ben. It was awesome.
Yeah, I'd say I'm pretty happy with that. I'd say a couple notable points I'd like to make here about the rest of the lineup. Marcus Gauguin had a great run to start. Looks like he missed the transition on that backy that he had. Otherwise, he had a heater of a run going as well.
Yeah, I called that one a little bit wrong. I said he was a bit short, but he was actually quite a bit too far and off trajectory, which he knew right away when he took off, because the rest of his run was just typical Marcus. So good, so strong, so precise, incredible skiing above the exposure. But you gotta put all the pieces together.
that indeed you do. Let's see. Another couple things. Tams had a good start. He had a little. He's a rookie. He had a bit of a crash. Joan Arasil had a great section as well. Big backflip, like landed through pinned it through the pepper. A couple 360s. The chat thought that was underscored a little bit because he got 71.33. Do you have any notes on that one, just to kind of give them an answer?
Yeah, it's hard to remember. I mean, Joanne's run was really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's.
I'm just trying to think about where there was maybe not as many features, just because it was a lower, quite a lower score, 71.33.
Yeah, I'm not sure if they rated the run out of that backflip as highly as it looked like it was difficult. He flipped into that section right after Tams did it and over rotated and fell all the way down through all those rocks. So that's definitely gutsy to do that right after you've just watched your buddy like eat it through there. Yeah, I think maybe not quite as technical at the top where Tams did the that really cool double kind of Joanne skied around a little bit. I don't know. I mean, it's the devil's in the details with these things. But a really solid showing for the Andorran, rookie. He's competed in one Freeride World Tour event before as an event wildcard, and was like quite badly injured in that comp. He did a backflip, basically half a backflip onto a pile of rocks.
Oh, right.
4 years ago.
Is it Andorra?
in Andorra. Yeah, because
Right. It looked like he landed on his face.
He fully did. Yeah, on rocks.
yeah. Right.
So
I'm glad he didn't this time.
Yeah, the mental fortitude to come back from something like that. That's the only time you've ever done this, and then put down that run. He'll be fine.
Awesome. And then I want to give a shout out to Wei Tian Ho, peak performance rider. The triple at the top. He ended up getting the line of the day. Big triple at the top, big 360, stomps, airs, slashes, backy, airs. This guy broke his leg like less than 2 months ago.
Yeah, late October.
Yeah. So all fall, he's been dealing with a broken leg, and he's back on his skis to do this, like the pinnacle of skiing.
Yeah, and without that backslap on the big transfer 360, I think Wei Tian may have been in contention for a podium with that run. It was really, really good. It was ultra technical. You know, the triple was so precise and perfect, but even the skiing above that, that's what the judges really like too. When you put yourself into a zone that has serious consequences for a mistake and you ski it like that, it really gets them juiced. So yeah, very cool to see Wei Tian coming off injury and putting that down, getting himself into 6th.
Right on. I obviously got to give a shout out to Tom, a friend of the show. I'm glad he's doing well. His airbag came out again. The Freeride World Tour put a post up of it, a slow motion set to classical music. Chef's kiss. It's
insane.
I'm so glad he's okay, but he got high-sided and it looked like he was going full Lincoln Loop. As I said to you before on the comments underneath, Cooper Bathgate basically said, put the grab in and you'll land it next time. But unreal. Like that was scary, but I think Jess Hodder made a comment and I was like, he's going for your title for best tomahawk. We've had some, I'd like to see the top 10 Tommies post soon, because there's a lot in the last few years that have been Jess Hodder. Then, I have indefinite in mind. You got Tom in mind. You got Stan Ray from last year.
Yep. Elizabeth from this comp. Lena Kohler from this comp. There's definitely some heavy ones.
Yeah, definitely. So I'm glad that he's okay. Shout out to Tom. I'm glad he's back on the tour. Beauty of a guy. He's done everything. He's been on this show filling in for you. He's been on the tour. He's been on the Challengers. He's done your co-host in Kicking Horse as well. He does it all. He truly is World Tour Tom without that guy. Yeah. So we're glad you're all right there, Tommy. And he can be teased a little bit. Anyways, so that was the men's comp. Only 2 in the 90s this time. What's going on? Are the guys falling off?
I mean, there were definitely some runs that may have been in the 90s if they were clean. Marcus's probably, Wei Tian's maybe, and then a few that were hard to know, like Finn and Carl both crashing at the top. Bender had a little issue with one of his landings. Chablot, blew up on the double backflip. Matisse Fornacier. Yeah, Oscar. Yeah, totally. There's a lot. I mean, Matisse.
All of them. To be honest with you, like not to beat a dead horse, but every single guy on this roster easily can win an event.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's falling off. I think it was just hard. It was hard to ski well in that snow, and
yeah, literally, and it was hard, and it was hard.
Yeah. I just want to give a shout out to Matisse Fornacier, the rookie. He was 3 seconds into his run and a rock took his ski, the downhill ski too, in the absolutely worst possible place. And he took a big fall through a bunch of rocks, definitely used his back protector, definitely used his helmet, and came out with some scratches on his forehead and otherwise unscathed. So incredible for Matisse to be like on the relative scale, pretty okay after that.
Yeah, it looked gnarly. So love seeing them with the head tap and make sure they're okay. So that's the men's ski. Moving on into ski women. One thing I didn't mention off the top, a ski woman FWT alumni and familiar name, Jacqueline Pollard, is now on the judging crew.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great to have Jacqueline in the mix. she's like really excited to be a part of it. She's been judging IFSA comps in North America and coaching the Alta Bird Freeride team down there in her home in Utah. And she had a great day. She really enjoyed it. I talked to the other judges. They said Jacqueline was totally on point.
And she's a former Freeride World Tour athlete.
Yeah, World Tour comp winner.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Right. So she knows. So when you told me this, I guess when we were chatting a few days ago, I went, oh, that makes complete sense. So another fantastic addition to the team was someone who knows the Freeride World Tour in and out. And that definitely shows, right? It definitely helps. So great to have her on board. And then, is she full-time, I'm assuming then as well?
Yep. She's on. She's here to stay. Fantastic.
And I also mentioned to you, did we mention it on the last episode? I'm not sure if we did. But definitely it helps that her brother's not on the tour anymore, I guess. Because
it wouldn't be possible. You
conflict of interest.
You could not have Andrew skiing on the tour and have Jacqueline judging.
What do you mean a 10? 10 out of 10. All right, so moving into ski women. First place, Justine Dufour-Lapointe returns to the tour after a hiatus. As we mentioned before, she had some family issues going on. Her mom was sick, so that was a top priority. But she's back on the tour, and she picks up right where she left off.
That was such a solid run, and maybe made even more impressive by the fact that so many other ski women were really struggling. And she was able to move through that really tough snow in the top section with good flow, still hitting features, and some pace too, like popping around, hitting, like she hit a bunch of airs, all of them fully in control. She's super strong. She's obviously extremely coordinated, 2-time Olympic medalist. She's good at stuff. And then that backflip was so big.
So big and so tight, like huge, tucked their knees, got the hands in, perfectly controlled rotation, stomp.
Yeah, that, in my eyes, that is a product of thousands and thousands of hours of training that move.
We were complaining the last season that she was on that she didn't really throw that down like we expected her to, right? We were expecting more of that from her that first season. Turns out she didn't really need it. She won the overall. They didn't get to compete in the final event due to that avalanche on the Bec de Ross, but she still earned that win as the champion. But we didn't really get to see that backflip that we were hoping for the whole time.
Totally, yeah. She tried one in the first comp in Spain, and it was a little wonky, but also like a super weird jump. This thing was perfect. That win lip was hard not to backflip. The one that she did. It was such a steep takeoff, and she said, it felt just like a mogul jump. It just threw me straight up in the air. And, she's got the air awareness to manage the speed of the rotation as needed. She doesn't have to hope. Like, she knows she can slow it down. She can speed it up, whatever it needs. She's got the skills to do it. And the proof was in the pudding, because it was perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. Second place with 77, Astrid Chalus, who also has been dealing with a knee issue. I wasn't sure if I was going to pick her for my fun bet because she put a post online saying, hey, I got something going on with my knee. She said she put up posted photos of her MRI. I was like, oh, this isn't good. She says, it doesn't look like anything's wrong. It just feels strange. But you couldn't tell.
That was, yeah. I mean, the only thing with Astrid was she got hung up on that first cliff up at the top. She kind of dry docked on the rocks, going a little bit too slow, and then the rest of her run was money, like really, really strong. So yeah, that's a great result. Kicking things off, as you said about Justine, right where she left off. I mean, Astrid was in the mix for the overall last year, battling it out right to the end with Hedvig. And so now she's got to keep her result after one event, and she can move forward, hopefully with that knee improving rapidly before we go to Val Thorens.
Absolutely. And you've got about 5 days or so, about a week?
Yeah, about a week. So hopefully she's a quick healer. She's young. She'd probably heal fast.
You'd think so, right? That's kind of what they do. She's 21? Is that correct?
Yeah.
So yeah, she's probably healed already.
I hope so.
Then third place, we got Zuza same thing, picking up right where she left off with a 73.3. Good entrance into the Gnar at the top, kind of a new line in there. And then through the steeps. And then that like ninja move at the bottom, the splits to avoid that rock in her landing. Like she was going to land right on that rock. Boom, spread the legs, bam, stomped out. Now, would that get more points from the judges? Less points from the judges? So it could be like control could score super high for a move like that. Line choice maybe a little less. Does it balance out? Because that's, you got to be quick to do that. She went over, blind roll. Oh, there's a rock here. Full on splits, split the rock, back, bombed out the bottom.
I don't think they're going to give her more points for that because there's two ways.
Do you lose points for that though?
I don't think so, but I think you're certainly not gaining much. And, there were kind of two issues. One, her trajectory was a little bit off. And two, she went too small. Other people jumped over that rock and were totally fine, or they got their angle a bit better and were able to land either side of it. So I don't think in any scenario they're rewarding that, the ability to split your feet and not land on the rock that you just aimed at.
Yeah, to react. Yeah. Right. Okay, that makes sense. But it's impressive nonetheless.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool. And I mean, it salvaged the podium. If she landed on that rock and crashed, then she is certainly not finishing in third and taking a handful of points out of this first event. So you got to give her credit for being able to do that, for having the mental quickness to just push her feet apart and be like, oh, this is okay. I got this.
Yep. Definitely. So that the Ski Women event was, I guess, a little challenging. So one of the thoughts that I had is, so obviously, first up was Britta Winans. She had that crash and looks like she hurt her shoulder, which is unfortunate. Next up was Lena Kohler, another rookie, had that crash at the top. Third rider, Lily Bradley, who had that great run and then just kind of, smooth turns in the top section in through the chute. She looked really, really good. A little snow snake. She hit a little snow snake, it looked like, into that massive laid out backflip, which maybe was part of it, but she crashed as well. So the first three riders went down. So when you have a field of, only 12 and a quarter of the field is out already, that's either got to do two things in your head. One, I got to be careful, or two, I can put down a good run, but maybe a little more conservative than I thought, and I have a good chance of getting some points because I'm already ahead of all these people.
Yeah, and I think we saw both of those in play. We saw Justine go just as hard as she was ever planning to, dropping super late in the field. We saw Molly and Taylor and Ari Chikomi go pretty easy,
safe runs, very safe runs. I to be honest, I was a little surprised with Molly. That's not a typical Molly run. But she put a run down, got some points.
Yeah. And then, on the other end of the scale, Chloe Hare, the rookie out of Colorado, I mean, what a start to the Freeride World Tour for her. Without that flop over, I don't know. I mean, maybe she wouldn't
and losing her pole, right? Yeah.
Yeah. That was definitely like, there was some control dock there, but she
impressive line selection.
Really complicated. No, that's exactly what I was just going to say. A really complicated line for somebody that's never done visual inspection before. And like, she went where she meant to go. Her little control issue was like, it was the same place that Nuria Caston-Baron went down and Conrad Niven. There's that little G out and it's a side slope and the snow changed. There's all these factors and it kind of just bonked her down under her side, but she popped straight back up without her pole and kept going. I'm really impressed with Chloe. I think we're going to see some big things out of her.
There you go. And then, we mentioned Ellie was attacking that slope. And it's just unfortunate. Big, but she maybe a little bit too hot, but for the conditions potentially.
That's what she said.
Yeah.
She said straight up, she's like, well, that was dumb. I shouldn't have gone that fast.
She texted me too. I'm like, glad you're okay. That was awesome. She's like, oh, I'm dumb. I'm like, no, you're not. That's just what it is. It's Freeride. Like she's the most hard on herself, I think, of most of the riders. And sometimes you need that to be good, but I want to build her up because she's a world champion. Like she's one of the best. She has inspired a lot of riders, but she knows, she's a little hard on herself, but she'll be right back to it. But it looked, like the start of her run looked impressive. I was like, yeah, get it. Show them why you're a champion. But they know. So it turns out that 5 of the 12 riders ended up no score. Had skis pop off. So that was pretty crazy. We saw Taylor Dobbins come through with a fairly conservative run, but playing it safe. But I don't blame her. She blew up at this event last year. She was a rookie last year, ended up injuring herself in the very first run of her very first World Tour event. She was my co-host on the live stream for the Kirkwood event at the Challengers last year. So I had a really great time chatting with her and getting to know her a little bit better. She wasn't sure if she was going to get the wild card for this season, which we'll talk about in the next episode. But I'm so glad to see her there. And this has got to be great for her. A full year of, getting back to this with a goal, working towards that goal. She was in school, had a lot going on. So I think just getting a run in is great. And sometimes that's all you need to do.
Just lock back in on the confidence. Remember that you're actually really good at this. Like you said, she lost the rest of her season to that knee injury in Verbier. So no shade on Taylor for just putting down a safe run, feeling it out. There's 5 events this year, so you can have 2 throwaways. Yeah, right?
And at the same time, like an event like this, 5, almost half the field didn't score.
Yeah.
So you put a run down, perfect. Good for you. You did it. You're on there. You're in the middle of the pack already, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's the ski women, and then we rounded out the competition with the snowboard women. So in first place, as we mentioned earlier, this at this point in the day, that face was just garbage. It looked like it was just complete garbage. Hard. The entrance looked gnarly, like super gnarly, especially coming in on a hillside edge. It was so steep. It was so chopped up. It was firm. It looked like it was like, I would say I'd give higher points just for that entrance, because it was like the gnarliest part of the whole face. It looked like on the stream.
It was so loud. All the snow was gone. There was just ice and rocks left. So full credit to the snowboard women for doing what they could with what they had. And I think that I heard, I don't know, I had a lot of conversations, but that they're going to start early in the field in the next event because it's always like a little bit of a dice roll of who's going to go when, which category drop in when. So I think they'll drop early in the next one to give them the advantage of hopefully some good riding conditions. So because they really just want to show what they have, and to be honest, the whole field did not have that opportunity. It was survival riding at that point.
Right. Well, so they rounded out the day. It was a long day. Like you said, there weren't there was a couple crashes, but there weren't really that many big delays. So for whatever reason, maybe just because the face was so big, it took a long time.
It was really long. It took a long time.
So say if you add 30 seconds onto like however many riders, how many riders are there in total? I don't have the number off the top of my head.
52, I think.
50 riders. So you add like 30 seconds plus to 50 riders. Well, that's adding a lot of time to like a comp day, right?
Well, and think of the number of ski runners that they had to send, through, the ski categories. There were multiple. They actually used the snowboard men as ski runners because they knew they were going to be comfortable and confident moving around on the terrain. And you see, Michael Mann roll up with Brita skis, and then somebody else,
Cody Bramwell,
yeah, Cody with, those guys were put to work, and they did multiple loads of them to take them back up, and all of that just gobbles up time. Obviously, Brita requiring medical attention. It took a while to get Matisse kind of sorted out and off the mountain.
But even like I said, they actually were working through it pretty quick. It didn't seem like there was any extended delays. It didn't seem like anything went longer than it should have.
Not longer than it should. It just
didn't pop into my mind as well. Yeah, true. And I guess, having that big, long face, like I said, adding those extra 20, 30 seconds, 40 seconds per run times 50, it's going to add, all that extra time. So maybe that's kind of where that came from. Cause like I said, it was 5:30 by the time I got to bed. I stayed up. So let's get into the Snow Women. Like I said, my notes here, start gate looks gnarly. First place rookie from France, Naomi Equi. How do you pronounce her name?
Noemi Eki.
Eki, with a big 360 at the top, which surprised you.
I didn't even think there was a jump there. Yeah, no. we were watching her just slice turns down, and then all of a sudden, boom, pops a 3 mid face. That was sick. Like, what a start to a world tour career from Noemi. And her and Anna Martinez are super tight. You know, they're really good friends. They ride together a lot. They're really good. Like
she like, I got like arcing turns down, and then she actually had a lot of like a big air and then mocked across the flats, kept that speed up. Like I can see she's not the biggest human. Neither is Anna. Like they're, you know, small in stature. But that doesn't mean anything. You know, you think, you know, the heavier you are, the more the momentum you may have, inertia, that sort of thing. But it didn't matter with them as long as you know how to use the slope. So she kind of looks like she's very, very familiar with how to access terrain.
Yeah, for sure. And I think we said it in the broadcast, but both Noemi and Anna Martinez have benefited from some mentoring from Marianne Herty, 4-time women's champ, natural selection champ. Kind of the G in snowboarding right now. So
4-time champion, right? And then didn't she win the natural selection too?
Yeah, I think I just said that.
Oh, sorry. Pardon me. I was looking at my notes. Pardon me.
That was awesome. No, but both of them definitely benefiting from that, and now taking what they've learned as juniors and from qualifiers and from Marianne's, you know, mentoring and putting it to work. And it's very cool to see the level just skyrocketing.
I hope we get a great season from them, and then have Marianne come back for a wild card and have them go head to head.
That would be exciting.
I love those kind of things.
I
think about that kind of stuff all the time.
I like that.
Next up was Anna Martinez, solid and stable. Linking turns, just another good run. You know, it wasn't mega flashy, but it was just exactly what you needed to do.
Yeah, right? And you know what, Mark? Honestly, to be honest, I don't think that the end
Can you be honest
of the
with
day.
Me?
Yeah, let's be honest.
All right.
At the end of the day was the time for flashy. One of the things that really stood out to me with all 3 of the women that were on the podium for the snowboard category, they were making turns where other people were either heel side sliding or actually having their boards wash out from under them. Those 3 women were making turns in those difficult spots and linking them well, like using the edge, railing the board. It really
just showing confidence in their board and their riding.
Snowboarding, just purely good snowboarding. And you know, sometimes it's the day for big sends and big tricks, and sometimes it's not. And those 3 that were on the podium just displayed excellent snowboarding, and that's what it took to be on the podium on that day. And hats off to them for both understanding the requirement and then also having the skill set to be able to do it.
Absolutely. Third place, we had Audrey Hebert. Pardon me, Audrey. Audrey Hebert. I know Audrey. She did really well in the Challengers. She won the Challenger Tour. She's not a rookie. She's a not rookie. If you've listened to this show in the past, the Freeride World Tour calls people rookies, even though they may not be rookies. So she's returning to the tour. And she is an amazing rider, and it just shows right here. First year back, big air into the chute at the top, but it was able to shut down that speed, just like you're explaining. Like solid control of her board.
Yep.
And then that method down near the bottom.
I love that. I loved that so much. That was so cool. Audrey had a great run, and you could see how she won the Challenger Series. Like, her riding is it. And, you know, in speaking to her when she came onto the tour the first time in 17 and 18, she said she was pretty young. She was unprepared for the visual inspection, and even just all the noise that's around the riders, all the media, all the interviews, all that stuff. Just she was psychologically unprepared for that. So this time she was feeling so much more confident, and that showed, like, it really was clear that she had confidence on her board and with her ability. And even, you know, I think for a lot of new riders on tour, and maybe we can't put Noemi in this bucket because she just slayed, but there's that mental aspect of, do I really belong here? You know, riders suffer sometimes from anxiety and
imposter
these
syndrome.
Yeah, a little bit, you know, where they're like, oh, I'm with my heroes now. Certainly none of that on display with Audrey. Her riding was excellent. The line selection was really good. She's popping tricks at the bottom. Yeah, just top to bottom, super solid run.
Awesome. Yeah, really, really good. So great start. That kind of rounds it out. That's a great start to the 2025 season, the 18th season of the Freeride World Tour. This is the 4th season of our show, second of this version, but fourth. This is our 4th year we've been doing this. I think we're good at it now.
Yeah, maybe.
I'm still enjoying it. We're getting better with technology and timing and figuring it all out. And I obviously got to give you a huge shout out for making it happen when you're over there in Europe. And I don't know how I'm going to try and keep count of how many different studios we've used over
how many different hotel rooms
over the weeks. So let's get into let's kind of roll through here. Let's get into our fun bet results. So we have a fun bet league. So on the Freeride World Tour page, there's the Peak Performance Fun Bet. It's like fantasy for Freeride. And the last couple of years, we've set up a league. We call it the Freeride Guide Fun Bet League, and we want you to join us. So you can just go to the Freeride World Tour website, go to Fun Bet, and then you can go to leagues. There's an icon for leagues, and then you just hit new league, and then all you got to do is that's me adding a league. But you can go through and request a league. I'm not going to get too far into it because I'm on the internet right now and I'll get distracted and start watching FWT highlights and forget you're there. So join our league. It's the Freeride Guide Podcast League. If you are on mobile, the mobile application code is capitals, all caps, no spaces, Freeride 2025. We want you guys to come and join along with us. So we're looking at our league here. I am currently sitting in 652nd overall, which isn't great.
12th in our league, though. Come on.
Out of 17. Oh, we got 19 now. So we have a limit of 200. So get in quick. I think we had like 60 or 70 almost 70 last year, but it looked like the points weren't resetting for a few of them. So I just reset the league and do a full refresh. People that want to be there can be there. People that don't. So join us, the Freeride Guide Podcast League. See if you know more than we do. There's a good chance that you do. And then, so looking at the league here, we got Non-Briary in first place with 2,308 points.
That's a big score.
Yeah, it's very big. That's actually 500, almost 4,500 more than the second place. NW, I have a feeling that might be Noah Wallace from Atomic, former free rider, now currently team manager for Atomic. Just looking at that mustache on his icon, I'm assuming that might be Noah Wallace, 1,866 points. And then in third place, FJ the Hunter with 1,799 points. And we got Derek Foose in fourth place, just off the podium, 1,761 points. I am currently all the way down in 12th spot. I didn't make some good choices. Well, obviously, it just doesn't matter. It's up to the riders.
Yeah, I wonder just for fun.
It's just for fun, even though it drives you crazy if you don't do well. So please join it. So there is there are prizes. I think the top prize for the overall in the fun bet is it's like a €3,000 experience at the Verbier Extreme, I believe. And then the other prizes are like a t-shirt and a hat or something along those lines. So we're going to match that. We've got, as you can see, if you're watching the YouTube, we got a couple Freeride Guide hats that Derek and I are each wearing. We're going to get some shirts and some other stuff made, maybe get some stickers. for people to have. So we'll launch the merch line. We'll have available soon, but we're going to be putting together a little package for the winner. Maybe a hat and a shirt and some stickers or something like that, just to make it fun for you guys that are listening. And we're stoked that you're listening. This is the second episode of FRG, the Freeride Guide, season number 2. And big thanks to Surefoot for sponsoring the show this season. If you got sore feet when you're skiing, well, that's your own fault because you haven't gone to Surefoot yet. And I also want to give a shout out to Skull Candy for supplying our listening devices. And thanks to you for tuning in for another fun season. I love watching the Freeride World Tour. I'm a big fan, and you give me an opportunity to talk about it. So thanks.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Definitely, this sport is just it's heading for the stratosphere, and it's really fun to follow along and be a fan of it and get to chat with you about it. And just to recap this stuff, like we'd be doing it anyway. So hopefully, you like to listen to our ramblings.
Oh. And make sure that if you want to participate, we want you involved as well. If we got something right, if we got something wrong, if there's a point that we didn't make that you want to bring up for us to talk about, send us an email that we will read on the show. There's a good chance we'll read it on the show. Send your messages to backslap@freerideguide.com. Backslap@freeride.com. That's the email. Send us it, and we will read. There's a good chance we'll read it online. We're about to record the athletes episode, which we mentioned, which are going to cover some more information about all the rookies, stuff that you may need to know about all the returning athletes, wild cards, et cetera, et cetera. So we're going to record that in about 5 minutes, but it's going to be released a couple days after you hear this. And we've got a great backslap that I've saved from last season, which we're going to start that show off with. So send us your input and follow us on Instagram. We're on Instagram as well. We're going to be posting some clips from these shows as well as news from the Freeride World Tour. We may actually have some input from other events, not necessarily FWT, because this is the Freeride Guide. We want to expand our umbrella. So we're glad that you're here listening along. On behalf of myself, Mark Warner, and Mr. Derek Foose over there.
Yes, thank you. Stay tuned.
that was a real terrible setup. It's early in the season. We're rusty. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, and we will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.